Dr. Foxx from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here. Mr. Selsavage, we all know the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has a track record of misusing genetic data, and even the New York Times acknowledged that, quote, China uses genetic tests to track members of the Uyghurs, end quote, who are a politically disfavored minority group. This abuse can surely be perpetrated against any disfavored group whose genetic data is available. How does 23andMe prevent the genetic data, mainly from Americans, controlled by the company, from being used by the CCP or some other malign actor to track or harm Americans?
Congresswoman, 23andMe puts data security and privacy at the top of the forefront of our company. All of our data is secured with top security encryption. We have, security professionals, in place at 23andMe implementing the latest technologies in security. And we've received, 3 ISO certifications for the company in terms of security, cybersecurity, and privacy to make sure that the data of our customers is secure. In addition, after the cybersecurity incident, we made sure that, basically we've implemented 2-factor authentication. We've ensured that customers have reset their passwords, and we make sure that those passwords have not been, basically in compromised databases anywhere to make sure that our customer data is safe.
Mr. Selsavage, besides the 15 million individuals who have their genetic data stored with the company, family members, by virtue of having a similar genetic makeup to those who took the test, are also potentially at risk if 23andMe's genetic data is exposed or used for nefarious purposes. Is that correct?
If a customer at 23andMe chooses to allow their data to be shared, such as a DNA relatives feature at 23andMe, people relatives could actually, and family members can see that additional data, yes.
Ms. Wojcicki, precisely because of concerns about the genetic information controlled by 23andMe falling into the wrong hands, the Pentagon warned its personnel in 2019 not to use consumer DNA kits. How did 23andMe respond to the Pentagon's warning at that time?
Thank you for that question. I have to say, in all honesty, we were surprised. We had not been contacted. We were surprised. So we're happy to engage around that discussion as to what are the potential concerns, but it was a surprise to us, and we did not get forewarning, and no one engaged afterwards.
So after the warning, did the company change the way it handled or protected consumers' genetic data?
Thank you for that. There were not substantial changes because, as I mentioned, privacy and data security had really been top priority since then. So since the inception of the company. So I would say after that notice and reading about that, it definitely became top of mind, and I think the number one takeaway we had was really there should be an engagement around the understanding of how we actually are making sure that we're securing data and how we're making sure that we're always honoring the customer's privacy. So it was a great opportunity for us to consider engaging. We always are reviewing our systems. We're always looking at sort of the update of what else should we be doing with our security protocols. And so that was the primary takeaway from that.
Do you believe there's anything could have been done to prevent the 2023 breach?
That is I appreciate that question. I'm pretty limited with what I can say specifically around that because of the potential litigation or the ongoing litigation around there. The thing that we always said is that you have to be vigilant on a daily basis. You have to always live in a world of paranoia because you see how many threat actors there are out there, the number of security incidents that are there. So the primary takeaway we always thought is like, what's also the product by design? How are we making sure we're designing the product so if and when something happens that we're doing everything we can to protect the privacy of our customers? The database security design has always been really important for us about making sure that if there ever was a threat actor, how are we actually making sure that we're doing everything we can to prevent that? So it was always top of mind for us to think about what those potential risks are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Chair recognizes Ms. Brown.